It's crazy. The apartment I'm living in right now, before 10 years ago when I just arrived to Shenzhen, was 1/8 of its price now. Welcome to another video from Shenzhen with a lot of love. Marca Rebe once again here. Thanks a lot for being subscribed to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, be welcome to subscribe. It's totally free, and do not forget to activate the bell just in case for not miss a future video in this channel. So today I'm gonna be speaking about another aspect which I found really amusing here living in Shenzhen, which is number 3, because previously I've spoken about 2. And the first one was weather, and the second was shopping malls or shopping. Yeah, you can watch those videos if you haven't. I will leave them here in the comment section below, and if you have, then thanks a lot to be here once again. Okay, so first thing first. Today we're gonna talk about apartments and rent, just living here. So since Shenzhen is a very new city, it has over less than 40 years. So today, this year, 2019, was its 40th anniversary. It's quite new. I've been here 10 years, so I've been here 1/4 of its life. I've been here perhaps on the fastest developing time of the city, which was the last 10 years, yeah. And to my surprise, really, to everybody's surprise, rent has been increasing exponentially. It's crazy. The apartment I'm living in right now, before 10 years ago when I just arrived to Shenzhen, was 1/8 of its price now. So that basically means I could have bought an apartment back then, but I was a student and I was naive. I didn't have that much capital and I didn't know how things were working at that time. And now it costs 8 times more. I was previously living in an apartment in Futian area, which I was so in love with, until they started building the metro, and it was super disturbing, so I had to leave. So I've been told that some apartments increase 10 times the price. Some people came here to Shenzhen a few years ago and started purchasing some land and build, complexes, as well as some just purchase directly apartments. And now they are really pricey. So those people who came first at that time, they really got to have a very big earning now, because the apartment needs 5 to 10 times more of how they purchased it before. So as I was saying, let me a sip of molicuacha, which is basically jasmine tea. Apartments have been increasing in the last 10 years from 5 to 10 times the price of how much they were bought 10 years ago. And that is a lot. So it basically means if you had purchased an apartment 10 years ago, now it costs 5 to 10 times the price, you will have earned that much. And some people back in the day didn't purchase one, but 10, 20, 30 apartments, and those are the richest now in Shenzhen. Yeah. So it's that easy how they got rich. Apart from other industries, but today we're just gonna be speaking about rentals. So being in Shenzhen as an expat, it's quite satisfying, the fact that a lot of homes are new. A lot of buildings are new. They are just fresh. And some of them are really Western style, not like other places in China perhaps, where you have the old style Chinese home and it's really super old and you do not feel that comfortable. I'm not speaking for the whole China, I'm just speaking because I've been traveling, and from my experience, I've been arriving to some places and I've been seeing some friends live in other kind of places. Whereas here in Shenzhen, since it's quite close to Hong Kong and it's quite westernized, let's say, you can really get to go and rent a Western style apartment. Not a Chinese one like elsewhere in other cities where you don't have a choice sometimes, so many of the times. But there is a but. The price you have to pay for that Western apartment can be really much. Can be really high. And it gets to be, ridiculous sometimes. There is this 2 bedrooms apartment for this much. 2 bedrooms apartment for 8,000 renminbi, which is more than $1,000 a month. 3 bedrooms apartment sometimes is even $3,000 a month. What? Like, I'm not gonna pay these $3,000 a month for a rent for a 3-room apartment, which is Western and beautiful style, because us expats are used to live in such kind of apartments. I'm not saying I'm not willing or I'm not used to live in a Chinese one, because I was living on a dorm for almost 5 years of my life, or 6. But I'm saying, like, it's the way we are used to, yeah? Like, there are also these Chinese apartments, but it's a different kind of, architecture, and usually Western people will like to choose for a kind of westernized environment. The price you have to pay to rent it, it's quite high. Living in Shenzhen has its pros and its cons. And one of its biggest cons, because that's what you have to pay every single day that you are staying here, for your rent divided on days, it's the price of your apartment, right? My first apartment after I moved out of the dorm, because as I said, I was living in a dorm for 5 years. When I was in university here in Shenzhen, the price of the rent of that room of the university was 2,000 RMB, which is quite high, to be honest, because it just has a bed and a toilet. There is no kitchen and there is no living room or elsewhere. There's a balcony where you can hang out your clothes, and it's just a basic room, which is very good. But living there 5 years without a kitchen can get to be super annoying, especially if I want to cook my own stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so that's why Raw Vegan was perfect, because I didn't have to cook anything. I had just this, mixer. Anyways, 2,000 renminbi, it's about $300, about, more or less. I'm just gonna give some estimates. So you're gonna be, as a student, paying $300 to be living on a private room in the dorm. After 5 years, I came out and I started living in another apartment, which was on Futian district. And at that time, like about 6 years ago, it was one of the best districts to be living on. And I really loved that place until the construction got in the metro, and all this was annoying me. And this is a big problem. Like, there are so many constructions and so many remodeling happening everywhere in China, especially here or in cities that are developing, that you will be, I don't know, you perhaps arrive to some place and suddenly there is a remodelation happening next door, and there's nothing you can do because your contract will expire until the next year, and then you have to stay there and just bear with it. And it's really, really annoying to be disturbed by that you could not sleep during weekends, or perhaps you cannot stay at home if you work at home, because they will be on your nerves. And that happened to me back there in that apartment, and still happens from time to time here in the Shekou apartment, because they are fixing something, and that's how we live here. A lot of Western people will be always complaining about how noisy it can be, like you cannot have a good rest on the place you are living. So you have to be super careful whenever you're choosing your apartment. You cannot just go one day and see, wow, it's beautiful, okay, I'm gonna rent it. And you didn't know that it was Sunday, so they are not working, and next time you come the next Monday to live there, there is a construction next to you, and then there's nothing you can do because you have signed up a contract. So be very aware, and whenever you're gonna rent something, try to check it out through few days. In that case, you will be more aware of what you are about to get. So when I was living in this apartment, which I loved, was some of the best years of my life, 2014, I rented this apartment, which was about, I think, 42 square meters with a balcony. It was just a lobby. How they call it here is a yifang yiting, which basically means one room and one living room, and there is no room. Actually, it's the whole thing together, like a loft, how to call it. There is just a studio. So there is this big living room, and there is a bed there, and a sofa, and the kitchen, and the toilet, and the balcony. So for one person, like I was living, it was perfect, because I don't need a room, I don't need the separations, and it was great. The price when I took it was 4,500 RMB, which I thought it was like okay. It was not that bad, but at that time I thought it was like a little bit, it was the double of what I was paying in the dorm, but I wanted to get a life already, so I paid for it. So 1 year had passed by, and the next year it was 5,500. So the rent literally had increased 1,000 RMB, which is quite a lot. And I stayed living there for 2 more years. I lived there for 3 years or so, yeah, until the construction starts, and I couldn't live anymore there. Your apartment itself will not just increase. Everywhere around, like the surroundings, will also increase its price. So there is not this kind of a choice like, okay, so my landlord increased the rent 1,000 RMB, so I'm just gonna move to the building in front. Because there is a big chance that the building in front also has increased the rent. Like usually, commonly they will increase rents, And so I stayed there because I was comfortable, but until I was really uncomfortable, I decided to leave the apartment, and the owner also offered me to sell me the apartment, but I was like, I don't want it. Like first when I arrived there, I really wanted to buy that apartment because I was so happy. But anyways, that's another story. So I was living there for 3 years, and in those 3 years, it passed by 3 owners, 3 different owners, this apartment. And one of the owners ever got to see the apartment. Like he never went to see it. They just told me like, okay, so there's a new owner, so you have to transfer the rent to him. And I was like, okay. And then this owner said to me like, okay, so I'm gonna sell the apartment, so you have to transfer the money to the other owner, which will visit the apartment. I was like, okay. So I was really, unaware that people here will buy stuff, will buy homes without even taking a look at them. Like that will not happen on Mexico. I don't think that will happen on Mexico. You have to go and take a look. But here is like, I think there is a contract where they say like this apartment is renting for this much, and if you want to acquire it, it costs this much. And the owner didn't ever appear there. Like he never saw how the apartment was. Like it was his property, but he didn't really care. He just wanted to make the transaction, Like he took it for 1 year, took the rent for 1 year, and after sold it for a higher price to another owner. And at that time, the owner said like, I want to sell it. The third owner told me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in buying this apartment. I also want to leave because the noise over here. She told me at that time that if I will stay in that apartment, she will raise the rent as well because everyone else was raising the rent. And before leaving, I was very, queasy about leaving my favorite place, Aba. So I went to look at other rents, and I went to an apartment. I remember it was this building which was older than the one I was living in front of mine, and it was not good looking from the outside. But oh my God, when I got inside these apartments there, it was like, wow, like really astonishing how they had remodeled the place in order for them to sell it for 8,000. Ifang Eating, like one studio, the same that the one I was renting. So I was really surprised that first of all the building looked really old, and the whole thing was not like, but I was just wanting to see. And there was this lady, there's this agent, because here you have agencies, and they will take you to see the same apartments almost every time because they know what kind of apartment foreigners like, and they will see like, this is beautiful, you will love it. I'm like, but this building, it doesn't look that nice. It looks quite old. No, wait. And then I arrived to the apartment. I was like, wow, really luxurious apartment. It had an intelligent system, smart system home. It was like really high quality apartment, how to say it. It was really VIP apartment. And then I was like, okay, so how much is the rent for this one? And it was like 8,000 renminbi. And I'm like, wow, 8,000. That's double the price that I start paying for the one I am now. And the noise will also be perhaps available in that apartment. So I started looking for apartments around that area because I used to like that area, and every apartment was around 6,000, 7, 8, some 5, but were less quality than the one I was living there. So I decided to, like many YouTube videos say out there, pack my stuff and leave my home and go travel the world. And that's why I had been traveling it's gonna be 2 years already. So I don't really have an apartment now because the apartment I'm staying in, it's my sister's apartment. So I just sleep on the living room, literally on the floor. I have a bed there, and it's been amazing, of course, but I haven't had the guts yet to rent another apartment. so far because I want to keep on the go because I want to be traveling more, and I feel like the rent in Shenzhen it's really too high. And once I'm just renting an apartment, I was not really traveling much because I felt like I cannot leave the apartment for that long. I'm paying rent here and so on. So now I can be staying a few months in Mexico. I've stayed previously almost 1 month in Bali and Singapore. And yeah, I'm free to go. So how do you like this chit chat with me here? I'm not quite an expert on Shenzhen. I'm not gonna call myself that, but I have lived some experiences, In the last 10 years, things changed so much. So many foreign friends left because of the hardship to be here, to be renting something in Shenzhen, no matter how small or big. It's a eye from your face. It costs quite a lot. And plus traveling in China is not cheap at all. So I consider myself lucky. So this was my experience. So I left my apartment 2 years ago, and after that I have been living here in the apartment my sister had rented here in Shekou. I love this place because, there is this vegan restaurant here. I feel that Shekou is a nice area to live, but if you want to go to the city center, it's quite far. But so far, I had enjoyed the experience of living in Nanshan district, which was where my uni was. And then I lived there for 5 years. Now, one of the best districts to live, I've heard, is Nanshan, but also is one of the most expensive ones. Because of its good area, it's very green, it's less polluted. Also here in SeaWorld, it's quite less polluted. Whereas if you go to Bao'an, where the factories are located, it can be quite dirty because all the factories that are producing stuff there and their quality cannot be as good as perhaps being here nearby the sea, and everything is cleaner. As well as in Luohu, there is a lot of things going on, and it's one of the oldest districts here in Shenzhen. But it's very convenient, Luohu is very developed, and at nighttime there are so many things going on. Like you will never get bored. Shopping malls, all kind of services, massages, there is Dongmen, etc. Okay, guys, I'm getting so tired to speak in this video. I'm thinking that perhaps I'm not gonna be renting in Shenzhen, but elsewhere where there is like a greener, more calm city, and I will come often to Shenzhen, or perhaps yes, because I haven't told you, but my sister is gonna leave because she's gonna get married to an Australian guy, so she's gonna leave her apartment this year, and I will not be living in Shekou anymore. So yeah. So I'm not sure about my future plans regarding renting an apartment in Shenzhen because rents are just gone skyrocketing in the last few years. I don't feel like renting in Shenzhen right now because I don't want to settle in here. I was here so long, and I wanna keep seeing new stuff around China, and I feel like I could use that money of the rent to go and travel and live elsewhere where rent is cheaper and air is cleaner. So yeah, I went to Uzi, by the way. I don't know if you have watched that video of my birthday in April, but I found that city to be amazing. It was very clean and it was super nice. Like, I don't know, I felt like everything was beautiful about it. Even the people were so kind. I would like also to change the weather, as I said in the previous video. So during the winter, I will not go to live on a very cold city. But during the summer, I will not mind living elsewhere because Shenzhen, it's really too hot. And yeah, I would like to live also on a not super humid city as Shenzhen. Let me know your thoughts about renting in Shenzhen, because I know that perhaps if you are watching this video, you are living in Shenzhen, or perhaps you are living elsewhere. How high is the rent where you are living? Are you happy and satisfied with rent an apartment where you are living? I think that it's super difficult to find someone that is like super happy and satisfied 100% with the place that he or she is living and paying the price that he or she is paying, like no matter the city, because it's quite hard to find the perfect apartment and to be, happy to pay that price. But I want to discover new places, and Shenzhen will always be here and I will always love Shenzhen, but I think that it's time for new stuff around China. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I do not regret to have left my apartment and have traveled all which I've traveled recently, and I just want to keep traveling. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as well as to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, we have so much more topics to talk about Shenzhen. If you want me to talk about a specific topic on the next video, please leave me your comments below and I will consider it for sure. Love you all, give you my hugs and kisses, and hopefully I will be seeing you very soon on the next episode. I love to talk to the camera and I love to share with you my experiences, because I think that they can somehow enrich your experience as well.